So, last week we were talking about the modern church.
Yep.
And, some of the struggles that we have. This week I kind of want to talk about something that manifests in each and every single one of us as men. And because of the world that we live in and the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And really, truly, I kind of titled this, it's called Dancing in the Shadows. And the reason I said that is because so many of us, I think a lot of times we're hiding in the darkness because we're so afraid of exposure.
Yeah.
And when you look at, dancing in the shadows, there's a multitude of different partners that you can have. For men, a lot of times, she comes in the form of shame, regret, insecurity, selfishness, fear. And the list goes on and on. And basically we integrate or we interchange different dance partners, but the problem is the partners that we choose are what kind of confine us to where we're at, which is in the darkness.
Yeah.
And the reason I really want to talk about this is because I see, especially in young men right now, with the world that we live in with social media, what a place to hide.
Truth.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else. You think nobody else is looking. Nobody else knows. You're in a dark place. You're hidden. It's a secret. It's it's something that only you know about, or whoever you're interacting with knows about, or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, we're just dancing in the shadows, man. We're overwhelmed and overcome by darkness.
Yeah, that social media could also be a place that they fear.
Oh yeah.
Exposure.
Yeah.
People learning the real them.
Not only that, you think about young dudes out there, or even older dudes, just guys in general, porn.
Yeah.
Mm.
There are guys that are just engulfed and ensnared and imprisoned by porn.
Mm.
They just can't break free of it. I know grown-ass men that can't be left alone with a phone or a computer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was guilty at one point.
Yeah,
Likewise, brother. I rode that train for a long time.
You got that story I used to tell you that when my laptop battery died.
Yeah.
I used to have my quiet time.
And I really appreciate you saying that, because a lot of dudes are too chicken shit to say it.
Man, it is. It is. What
it is. We look at the justification of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you tell yourself, hey, I work hard.
Yeah.
I sacrifice a lot. I do this, I do that. This is for me.
This is me
Right.
time.
And it's just sets you up for a false sense of reality, dude. It's a lie. It's all lies, man.
Well, I actually,
Go ahead, Freddie.
John got some professional counseling after Aubrey died.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually told that porn is a type of, it releases endorphins in a man and causes the man to relax.
Mm-hmm.
That there's actual professional, stimulus and study on porn.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Release. That's a term men
Now-
like to use, is release, right?
now I got a question, and I'm just keeping it real. Is it the porn that causes it, or is it getting the nut?
Getting afterward.
Honestly, because I know after
you shut it
engaging,
off
after engaging, in intercourse and stuff, and you
Yeah.
get that
Uh-huh.
true release.
Yeah.
I wonder if that if it's just the stimulus from the visual.
Well, what's funny is I never struggled with porn,
Yeah.
because I had enough of experiences.
You
in life
wild
that-
man.
I had a lot of internal porn. I guess, like
Actual porn.
actual porn that I lived out in my life that I would kind of use as like a reservoir, so to speak, to
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I want to bring to the forefront, which a lot of dudes probably struggle with, which is true when we dance in the shadows, is masturbation, right?
Yep.
There are some guys that can't go to sleep unless they masturbate,
Yeah.
because it's that they got to get that release to truly fully relax. We talk about endorphins that dump, right?
Right. Yep.
And there was a time in my life that I struggled with that. I'll be the first one to tell you. And it wasn't the fact that I was looking at porn, is it that I was able to revert back to life experiences. And basically I had created my own Rolodex of porn, so to speak, through life experiences that I would just kind of go back to. Remember this time, remember that time. and I would find myself going down a rabbit hole.
Theater of the mind.
But it was never a situation for me. Like, for instance, like I didn't struggle with like watching porn or watching shows or everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still porn and one and the same because
Right.
it was still something that had happened that I was referencing to get excited about, to be able to get that release.
Roll that beautiful bean
Yeah.
footage.
Yeah, so I mean, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
homemade.
though?
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
Homemade.
you're sitting there and you're going, okay, well, and this is where the justification, the just a lie comes into our lives. Like
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm not looking at porn. I'm not watching porn.
Right. But you
know?
are.
But
But
at
you
the end of
are
the day,
in
I
your
am.
head.
But there's a Rolodex in my mind of sexual experiences that I've had throughout the course of my life that it's like a bank. Like,
Right.
okay, I feel like I need to get this release, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into this to get it.
Right.
And then once that release is there, then there's a whole new different set of situations and circumstances that come with it. Now, even though you get that release, you still feel that shame, that regret,
Embarrassment?
that frustration within yourself.
Yeah.
But yet you find yourself going back to that well so many times.
And
you know?
and that's the same shame and embarrassment you feel with, drinking too much,
Yep.
Becoming a drunk, drugs, or anything. It's the same cycle. Whether
well, you can justify it, right? I'm
Yeah.
married. I'm not cheating on my wife with another woman. I'm just masturbating.
right.
But if you're lusting after or thinking about another
Exactly.
female, then
Yeah.
you're even if it is, and then you can justify it. Well, I'm not really lusting after her. I'm just
Yes.
thinking about a situation that I already lived. I had this
Yeah.
experience,
Right.
and this is where the mind kind of gets in, where you kind of
Yeah, it's all
justify
theater of the mind, and
Yeah,
even
just
with
a-
watching porn, for some men that is fantasy ride. They'll never have sex like that.
Yeah, I'm going to be totally transparent with you guys. The reason why porn never really appealed to me, because it was never about me.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is
yeah,
that,
yeah.
like, watching somebody else getting involved in that sexually, if it wasn't geared towards me, it didn't turn me on. It didn't excite me.
Well, you're selfish.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, it was like I don't need to watch somebody else get. I want somebody to want me, desire me. That's
Yeah.
trying to entice me. You know what I'm
Right.
It's
saying?
all
Right.
about me.
So that's why for me it doesn't make it any better.
And
No.
ultimately,
Funny.
any addiction like that is about you.
Yeah,
Right.
Make
that's
me
true.
feel better. Make me be wanted. Make me feel desired. Make me.
But that's why it was never really a struggle for me. Like I never was like I gotta watch this or I gotta
Right.
consumed by this, because it was like this is cool and all, but this isn't about me. So I mean it doesn't turn me on. Like if you looking at me and you're telling me you want to do this to me or you want, that's a different story. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
That's true. That's a
But
good
if
point.
you're looking at and I think that's probably why a lot of these guys that today get caught up in this OnlyFans crap. I mean, it's like they can pay this girl to pretend like she's about them.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
know exactly. What you're
I would assume that's what it is. I mean, I've never experienced it, but that's what I hear. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just being real. I've never
Disclaimer.
messed with that. But I'm saying, talking to people and other dudes. I mean, that's kind of what it
Yeah.
is. You're paying some girl to act like she's into
She's
you.
into you.
Gotcha.
And that's when you make it about you. It's like, oh yeah, she is really into me, and that's how you make it about. You're bringing it into your situation. Like,
It's like when I was in the Army. We would go to strip joints. You
Yeah.
know.
Mm-hmm.
And you always get that one guy, right, that thinks that they're gonna fall in love with him, and it's like, dude,
I
are
think
you
she
really
likes
that
me, dude.
stupid?
I think
Like
she likes me.
this one, yeah. It's like, yeah, she wants me, dude.
Mercedes loves me.
Dude, she told me
Tequila.
her hotel room after. She told
Coming
me
to
her
the
hotel
stage,
number.
it's tequila. And it's like, oh yeah, she wants me, man.
She said that I'm special and no one else.
She
is
wants
like
your
me.
money, dumbass. Is what she wants.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's like you meet dudes that just get enamored by it, and it's like, wow,
All these other guys have nothing on you. Just letting you know that
Yeah.
right now. Yeah.
their money isn't any better than yours.
Oh,
But yeah,
good
so
times.
that's one thing guys dance with in the dark, man.
Yeah.
Dance with in the shadows.
Yeah.
It like me. I come from. I have an addictive personality, so I really got to pay attention to whatever it is I'm doing, whether it's drinking or pornography or whatever I expose myself to.
Mhm.
I have to be very cautious because I'll just keep going and going and going and going. But these are things that we do in the dark.
Yes.
These are things we do in
Yeah.
the shadows. It's not something and bringing it to the light is embarrassing.
Oh, yeah.
You feel weak.
Well, the problem that we face in this country right now is that right now porn is like the norm.
Yeah.
I mean, dudes are like looking at you strange if you're not watching porn.
Yeah, if you don't do it,
There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
What do you mean you don't look at porn? You're a liar. You know you do.
I actually had an experience with that. We were doing a job, and there's a construction guy, and I'm doing our jobs and all that, and I'm working with these two other guys, and these two guys are talking about porn, going back and forth, and they looked at me, they're like, "Yeah, you know what we mean, right?" And I've struggled with it in the past, but at that time, no, I don't. I was like, "No, I don't look at it. I don't look at porn." And they're like, "Yeah, right." I said, "No, I'm serious. I don't."
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, well, I'm 50 years old now, and to get things going in the bedroom, I've got to get something to turn me on." And I told him, I said, "I challenge you right now." I said, 3 months. I said, "Don't look at porn for 3 months, and I'll bet you $50 that your sex life in the bedroom will quadruple, and you will have no issues whatsoever getting excited for your wife."
Well, porn number one is a lie.
Well,
It is.
Well, the thing is, you got to go back to I go back to that with my wife. It's like you think of the wife. It's biblical. Think of the wife of your the love of your youth.
Mm-hmm.
Like if that's how he said he's 50 years old, right?
Yeah.
Go back to the time of when you were
Well,
doing
dude,
it.
let's keep it 100. All right, I'm gonna go out here. There are things you're not going to do with your wife that you would do with some sweat hog you picked up.
Without a doubt.
Let's keep it real. I mean, you're not going to treat your wife like a pig.
Right.
I mean,
and you don't want to.
and if you do, you're going to have problems
you got
because
problems.
eventually it's going to seep into other things.
Yes.
I mean, if you don't respect your spouse, and you treat her like she's just a piece of meat or she's like a sex toy or whatever,
You ain't gonna have a wife.
eventually you're going to have problems because some other dude's going to show her respect and you're going to be on the outside looking and you're going to be assed out. That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
It is. It
See,
is.
I find it interesting that we just went from talking about the American church to now we're talking about porn, which I think it's great because that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, these Christians that just talked about this last week are now just talking about their past. Like, that's the whole point. Like, this is our past.
It's
Well,
real.
I'd be curious
Like,
to
it's
see
real.
the stats, and I think you had them on one show about how many of the
podcast.
preachers and
Well, right now,
pastors and stuff
you're
in the
right,
church were actually viewing porn.
76% of men look at porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 32 or 36% of women now, it's on the uptick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's up 10% what it used to be.
Yeah.
Now, here's the other thing that's interesting when you look at it. When we talk about porn, we're talking about watching videos or whatever, right?
Yep.
But now when you take Snapchat, messaging, and all that other stuff, DMing, how many people are sending nude pictures?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's porn.
That is
Yeah.
considered porn.
So I mean, there's a lot of women that are engaged in porn, sending nude pictures of themselves.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
So it's becoming the norm, and it's becoming something that's just something that people do rather than that's abnormal.
Something expected.
But this is we dance in the shadows, right? We dance with this thing in the darkness. And we don't want anybody shedding any light on it, right?
Oh yeah, but they're not telling you they're sending dick pics and stuff like that. They're doing it in the darkness. They're doing it.
That's why
Man, we got-
Snapchat's so famous.
We
Yeah.
got cheated, Johnny. Man, we had to go out and play till the street
you
lights
a-
came on and came in, and we had to meet a girl.
You actually
and
had
then
to
we
have
had
some
to
game,
get
Freddie.
parents. You had to have
have
some
game.
game. You had to go out with the girl, and you have your mom and dad pick you up, and then no funny
I mean, back in the
business.
day, you had to work some
And
game
then-
to see some boobies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you just
Exactly.
send a damn text message.
You just sit in your bedroom and get
Show me.
stimulated every
like-
which way.
And these dudes, it's
Never
like
have to leave your bedroom.
These dudes these days are like just so pathetic.
Yeah.
It's like these girls are like, okay. It's like, dude, really? I mean, that's all you got. Hey, you want to see my pecker? I mean, it's like, really?
Well, you know what's even scarier is them shadows are going to get even darker now with AI coming out.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, AI's
man. You seen
AI's
that
bad.
Chat GBT?
Yeah.
Dude, I
GPT?
mean, now you've got AI that's going to customize to the individual.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some,
It's going to shut OnlyFans down.
because dudes are visually stimulated, right?
Yeah.
So now you got this whatever you want her to be woman telling you how much she loves you, wants you, and desires you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Hologram.
And guys, I mean, let's keep it real. We talk about masturbation, right? A lot of dudes are just masturbating and look at girls on OnlyFans.
Yep.
What's going to be the difference? They're going to be talking to a computer animated woman.
Yep.
Exactly.
And
So
now,
seriously, that's how that works? You pay
Yeah.
for a woman
Yeah.
to be your friend?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, I thought it was really cool. I don't know if you guys heard about that.
They got sex bots now too. Sex bots.
Yeah, kidding me.
No,
Well,
it's
I don't
coming,
know.
brother. Get ready.
I don't know if you guys heard that girl named Black China. She was very famous
Yes.
on social media and very famous in act. Like she was, I think she was dating one of the
Kardashians, the son, yeah.
yeah. And she ended up finding Christ and canceled her OnlyFans. Millions and millions of dollars. She gave it up. She's like, I don't need this. Like this is. She decided it was not for her. So she was the one that got out of the shadows and said, you know what, this is not for me.
Well, you just said it right there. She was trying to fill a void.
Exactly.
She was in the shadows trying to fill a void that could never be filled.
Well, who do we dance with? Insecurity,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
self-worth,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Value, validity.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there, we're trying to find this in all these different areas, and we're doing it in secret because we don't want to be exposed.
Right.
I mean, how many dudes are out there right now? I mean, let's just forget about the dudes. We talk about the dudes a lot. Let's talk about the ladies out there. How many women out there right now are dancing in the shadows with consumerism?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, they think that they can buy
Happiness.
happiness.
Well, it sets off some endorphins of like, oh man,
Yeah.
I just got this new dress and I can wear this dress and I can do this and this. But you don't think about how
I mean,
much credit
Amazon,
card
you're
debt
making
you
love to Amazon. Let's keep it
Oh,
real.
yeah.
I mean, you're getting that dopamine dump every time a package shows up to your door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, I forgot I ordered that.
It's an addiction.
I mean, really,
is.
if you think about it, that's
Yeah.
exactly what's going on, and we're dancing in the shadows.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know people who would buy ridiculous amount of stuff and once a year go through their garage and donate stuff that still had tags on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit here all day long and probably think of things I'd like to buy for my spouse and my kids.
Mm-hmm.
But for me to sit down and think about something to really buy for myself, I'm like, I struggle with that. I'm like,
Yeah.
what do I really need?
Yeah.
I've
You know,
gotten
it's like
there.
we went out to we went the other day, Candy, my wife had bought me some new Hey Dudes for Easter. And we were laughing because I was going to get her an Easter basket this year, and we ran out of time, so I ordered her this sweatshirt I want to get for her, and it's on back order, so that didn't come through. And then I bought myself a sweatshirt, which I found out was unisex, and it didn't fit me, and it was barely fit her. And so she ends up with a nice new sweatshirt, and I guess the shoes she bought me were the wrong size. So we were kind of laughing about how we just, both of us screwed it up. But
you did it together.
yeah, we did. But that's what we said. We screwed it up together. Like we were the thought was in the right place. You
Yeah.
know? The intent was in the right place. It was like we were trying to do something for each other. And even though it didn't work out perfectly, it still worked out. She got a nice sweatshirt out of the deal, and I got some new shoes out of the deal. I went and exchanged them or whatever, but I got my size. But you know, it was so much easier for me to buy something for her than it is for me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to tell you something. There's some dudes out there listening to this podcast right now. You got no problem buy yourself some shit.
Right.
Hey, I earned that money. I worked it hard. I deserve what I get.
I mean, I was listening to a pastor the other day. This guy's pretty hardcore, but he's like, you know, you got fathers out there that won't support their kids, but they'll buy $300 pair of shoes.
Mm-hmm.
How you not going to give your kids money to live, to eat, or whatever, and you're buying yourself a pair of $300 shoes?
Right.
Or you're wearing, you know, name brand clothes, or you're driving a nice car, or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we're dancing in the shadows of selfishness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we make excuses about rewarding ourselves. It's about me. And we've talked on this podcast on numerous times about the fact that being a man, the first sign of that is selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we've got a lot of dudes out there, I tell you, you're pretty selfish.
You know, the only expensive pair of shoes I've ever bought have been work boots.
Yeah.
Honest to God.
Well, the only expensive pair of shoes I got, my wife bought for me.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't buy them for myself.
Well, the only reason I bought them is because you got to go get them kind of fitted. You know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
you know what I'm saying? No?
Yeah. Yeah. But like, you're talking about like just regular.
You're talking
wear
about a
around.
pair of work shoes that you're going to use for work.
Right. Right.
That's a difference. I'm talking about, you know, just buying yourself a $300 pair of shoes because you want a pair of Nikes.
Like,
Oh,
you-
shit.
$300.
Here we go again.
So actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I heard some kid got bullied, and I was like, because he had a $150 pair of Nikes, and it was not enough. I was like, the kid got bullied. He's like, why are you wearing those sneakers, man? Those are jacked up. I'm like, and he was getting bullied over his parents spent $150 on shoes. I'm like, and I see you saying here you spend I can't even imagine spending $100.
I never spent $300. Don't get it twisted, bro.
We're gonna twist it.
I'm talking about there are dudes out there spending
know,
$300
I
pair
know.
of shoes.
Dude,
Oh,
like,
man.
I use my shoes until they break, and then I'm like, all right, I'm done with these.
I know I had to twist your arm to
It's
go
just my
get
arm to
some
me
workout
new
shoes.
workout shoes.
Yeah.
I
You
was
know.
like, I don't know. I think I think John's right. It's all about selflessness. It's like, all right, so what can I get the family that I feel like I can do, and you know, 'cause I don't have that urge. Like I don't.
Well,
have the
you
urge
think
to buy
about
shoes.
dopamine, right?
Yeah.
We talk about dopamine and the way that it works in us and how we get that dump, right? There are some dudes that get dopamine from porn. There are some dudes that get dopamine from consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some dudes that do get dopamine from giving to their wife and their kids.
Yeah.
That's a good
And,
point.
and you got to be careful that
Yeah,
you're not feeding an addiction there to like you can
good.
feel better about yourself.
that's good.
You know, everything that we do is like a matter of the heart, right? It's like where is it coming from? If I'm giving because I feel it's a thing that I need to do as a husband and as a father because it's a selfless act, it doesn't matter how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm giving because it makes me feel good, then I'm feeding an addiction.
Right. And then
Does that make sense?
oh, it does. And then that leads to you never being home. That leads you to you being absentee. I'm working my ass off so that I can give them the $300 pair of shoes. I'm working my ass off so I can give them the PS5.
justification, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it exactly.
Yep.
You know, so you end up getting it all twisted because every time you give them that, they get the hit. You get the hit of endorphins. But the problem with dancing in the shadows is that eventually, that hit of endorphins is going to go away,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not there because the kids aren't going to appreciate what you're giving them because they want your time.
Correct.
Yes.
And there's no endorphin dump for giving your kids your time a lot of times.
Yes. Unless your kid shows that gratitude, and most kids don't.
Yeah, they
Like,
but
Daddy, thank you for spending time with me, Daddy.
yeah, but the whole thing is our in our life, our kids aren't supposed to pursue us. We're supposed to pursue our kids.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So yeah, they're not going to appreciate things the way you want them to appreciate it every single time.
Well, you know, the measure of a good man is understanding that you're not going to get that dump.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the measure of a good man. You need to know that you're going to put in the work, you're going to put in the time, you're going to put in the effort, the money, the resources, everything. And guess what? You're probably not going to get that dump.
Yeah.
You're not going to get what you, because the reality of it is most people, there's two kinds of people in the world. There's givers and there's takers,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And sometimes people just take.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then that's what happens to a lot of dudes, unfortunately, is that we give, and then we get to a place like, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
Or there's nothing left to give.
There's nothing left to give, or when does it become about me getting something?
Yeah.
And that creates very stupid men.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. But
Just-
again, they're given a lot of times they're given out of the wrong reason too. You know, they are naturally givers. Like I'm a giver. I'm naturally a giver. I love helping people is what I do. Whatever it is, somebody needs something. If I'm available, I'm there. And
But you're a giver, but you can't stand somebody that expects it
Bingo.
and somebody that
True.
doesn't appreciate it.
nailed it exactly. I love.
I know
giving.
that because I'm the same way.
Yeah, I love giving. I love helping. But as soon as you expect something from me, and basically want to call me a piece of shit because I couldn't make it there one time, it's done.
Or
It's
you
done.
don't appreciate what I've done for you either.
Yeah, well, even at that, I don't do anything to get anything back.
Well, I mean, common courtesy says if you do something for somebody, they should
Yeah.
always say thank you.
No, yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
I agree.
But when you do for somebody and they're like, whatever,
Right.
man, that don't do well. Ungratefulness, you want to turn me off, be ungrateful.
Yeah, without
I
a
can't
doubt.
stand an ungrateful son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I cannot. I told my kids back when they were young, if somebody gave them a gift that you can't say thank you, give it back.
Yeah, you know how petty I am, dude. Sometimes I get pissed off when I hold the door for somebody. It don't matter who, woman, man, don't care who it is. Hold the
Thank
door, they don't say nothing. I'm like, you're welcome. I know I ain't the only one like that.
No, that's true.
I can't be the only one
That's
like
true.
that.
Oh, hell no.
That's human nature, bro.
But what are some of the other places that people find themselves dancing in the shadows?
Yeah, man. All right,
I mean,
let's go there.
we've hit some pretty big ones, but
Yeah, those are the big ones.
you know, sometimes I think for men, it's like when it comes to our work, you know,
Yeah, I was thinking
sometimes we hide in our work.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And we justify it, we justify it, and we use it as an excuse and a crutch to not deal with the things we need to be dealing with.
Oh yeah.
We shy away from responsibility, or we shy away from being engaged because it's just easier to say, well, I'm working.
Yeah,
Dude.
I've caught myself. I work from home, and sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm just not going to do anything today. All of a sudden, the kids come home. You know what? I'm going to start working hard now. I'm going to start working better.
And then I'll call him and he'll be like, what are you doing? Oh, yeah, I just woke up.
Dude, you
Man, I got a lot to do, brother. I've been sleeping for 45 minutes. I probably better get back to work.
yeah, you call you called me out on that one because I used to, when I worked at the fab shop, I used to go to work an hour and a half before anybody got there.
Yeah.
And I'd eat breakfast at work. And I'd tell my wife, oh, I get more work done in that hour and a half than I do all day long.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
You're slow over there, Freddie. You're slow.
But I come to realize,
good,
I was like, through men's groups and talking with other guys and stuff, I was like, I'm doing this for my family. And, basically, bullshit you are. I was avoiding, responsibilities at the house. And then it's like, well, okay, my wife has got it so easy.
Yeah.
Why should I do anything to make her life easier? She's already got it easy. And then ultimately I realized that it's not about making my wife's life easier or helping her out or, avoiding responsibility. Who's going to suffer? My kids. My kids are going to suffer.
A great point there. And I think that I don't want to skip over it is that passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
Sometimes, we talk about as men, like we want our wives to stay at home. We want them to take care of our kids. We want them to do all these different things. But then there's another side of us that gets resentful about it.
Yeah.
And so then we find, I just hit the mic.
Damn, Johnny.
Throw me out of this.
Knocking stuff over.
Hey, that's my job. What are you doing
Yeah,
now?
I know. But we find ourselves a lot of times being passive aggressive.
Yeah.
And we're dancing in those shadows of passive aggressiveness. And we're like, you know what? I'm doing this, and this, and she needs to just deal with it because she's able to do this, and this.
Right.
Yeah.
And,
Tit for tat.
Yeah, it's tit for tat.
Yeah, but the thing was I was being selfish.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were being selfish.
You know
I
what
mean,
I
I don't
mean?
want to say anything,
Yeah,
but
no,
you were
dude.
selfish.
I'll
I'm
say
not
it.
call you out on.
I was being
Call him
completely
out, Mike.
selfish.
Will you call him out?
Selfish
And
son of a
ultimately, the people suffering were my kids.
Yep.
So once I realized this, came to this big fruition of what it actually was, I decided, you know what, the job doesn't care. My boss don't know if I'm there an hour and a half early.
Yeah.
He don't know if I stay an hour and a half late. He don't care. He doesn't care. So why am I going to miss waking my kids up in the morning, making them breakfast, making my wife's life a little bit easier?
Yeah, exactly.
You
For
know,
what?
Yeah, for nothing.
Your wife was-
just to
For
be
somebody
there.
don't even know you're there.
Yeah, but yeah, so just to be there, just to be with my family.
Well,
But the other part of it too, though, is let's be real. A part of it is that selfishness of your time.
yes.
Yeah.
Like this is for me.
Yep.
I get to eat my breakfast at work. I get to just chill out. I don't have to worry about the rigors of life. And you're right. It's all grounded in selfishness. You going to say something, Mike?
Yeah, I was just gonna say. I mean, the wife is getting affected by that too. Not just the kids. Like the wife is not getting the time that she could have had. Like you said, you could have done this for her to help her out for her day.
Yeah.
I mean, and a lot of times, I'm gonna say this is a man. Like that can be seen. It can be seen as like, wow, he does care about me, and that sometimes that can lead to something else.
Yeah.
For you. And that's a great thing.
Does it? Because it's never worked for me.
Yeah, it works. it works. But
Once a year, Mike.
it's called
once a year.
chore play.
Chore play.
Chore play. But yeah, so it's mainly you're helping her out. So it kind of can be selfish in that ways too. But I think that's you brought up the kids, but absolutely I think of that too when it comes.
Yeah, but let's look at another aspect too. Because this just made me think of this because bringing the spouses into it. How many times do we? How do I put this so I can make sure that it comes across the way that I'm trying to make it? How many times do we make concessions or excuses for our spouse so that we can do what we want to do?
All right. Expand upon that a little bit. I'm a little
Like for instance, you got a spouse, she works or whatever, and maybe she's not doing what she's supposed to be doing.
Oh, you're making excuses.
But you
for-
justify it or justify it so because in your heart there's things that you should be doing that you're not doing because you're able to do the things that you want to do, so you make excuses for them.
Yeah.
I got nothing on
that
that
make any
one.
sense?
It does, but I have nothing on that one.
Because there's times I've had in my life where Candy's working or she's involved, or she's doing this and that, and she gets caught up in not doing what she in some respects should be doing at home, and then I make excuses for that because she's working because there's things I'm not supposed to be doing that I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
because that's easier just to say, hey, well, I let her get away with this, so I get away with it. It's tit for tat.
Yeah, so then you're both dancing in the shadows.
Yes, but you're not dancing together.
Right. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. That's not good for a relationship.
It's not, but if that's just how
Yeah,
you're not dancing together, you're dancing separate.
Yeah, that's reality, though.
You
That's
know,
truth.
You're slow dancing with somebody else.
Yeah,
It's not
something.
her.
Right, right,
And you're lying to yourself, making yourself believe that you are dancing with her, but you're really not.
right.
You're dancing with yourself. Because at the end of the day, it's about what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And justification for what you want to do because of guilt that you have, because you know that, hey, there's certain things that I do that I shouldn't be doing. So, you know what? I'm going to give a pass on this rather than holding each other both accountable. And then you got two people that are doing the same thing to each other.
Yep.
And then, what happens and what gets lost in the translation is kids, the marriage, the relationship, and all those different things.
It's when you start veering off.
And I've been down that road, you know what I mean? I've been down there.
Yeah, we've all been there, and that's the whole thing. That don't get it twisted here. Like we know all the ins and outs. This is shit we've learned from experience. This is stuff that we've done wrong.
And it sucks.
Still learning.
Yeah, and guess what? We still go back to it.
Oh, yeah.
It still happens periodically, but you have to be able to identify that and know how to change the course.
Mm-hmm.
The number one thing I think that the takeaway when I think about all this is communication. We live in a culture today where it's like, if you tell somebody what you're feeling or if you're honest with them about what's going on, that you don't love them or you don't appreciate them. Love and truth go hand in hand. If you're not being truthful with the people in your life, that's not love. That's selfishness. That's you using an excuse not to be exposed or not to bring things up because you don't want to deal with it. And that's a sign of weakness. And my hope and my prayer for the men that are just listening to this podcast is that you're listening to what we're talking about and you're realizing that maybe some of you are kind of dancing in the shadows. And maybe you didn't even realize it because you've justified it and justified it so long in your life that it just has become the norm. It's just what you do. But at the end of the day, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting your spouse, and you're hurting your kids. And for those of you that aren't married, you're hurting the people that are around you because you're a false representation of what a man should be. Being a man is a selfless act. And if you're hiding or manipulating or twisting or deceiving, you're really not being a man. You're being a boy. This world is full of boys with beards. We need men. We need real men. We need men that are going to step up, that are going to get up, and that are going to man up. They're going to fight the fight, that are going to stand tall and stand firm in the things that, maybe they're not comfortable. Maybe they're not easy. But you know what? A battle never is. You will get scars. I'd rather have them on my chest, my arms, and my face from engaging in the battles than have them on my ass from sitting on my sword. Because when you do that, my friends, well, hell, that's where the rubber meets the road.